1.
Oh, it's live.
Oh, we're so live right now. What's up, guys? Welcome to our first. No, it's stupid.
We're live, bro. You can't go back and do it.
YouTube live, 5 o'clock hustle. We'll call it a master class, master series. I think I like master series. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about that?
I think series
live
is better than class.
Yeah, people use master class a lot, so a little point of differentiation, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So what's going on? What's up, fellas?
Not much, man. Just hanging out at the old house here.
Cool.
Yeah.
So this is weird.
Yeah,
like,
we're getting excited for HustleCon that we're going to be hitting up this weekend.
That's right.
Friday.
Yes, I'm pumped about it. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about like what am I gonna wear? What am I gonna...
Literally, I was gonna ask you guys, what do you wear at a convention like this?
I don't know.
Because I got an outfit in mind.
It's a great question.
You know, to be honest, because you know, conventions can be you never know. Some you show up to, you'll be wearing like jeans, and others people will be just full blown suits, ties. You know, there'll be like a 5-star general like walking with his like his dress up uniform. He's got his stars flying. I mean, I've only been to one where that happened, and it was like one of those Air Force. It was for
military
stuff. Yeah, it was basically the military convention, sort of. It was like space military. Did you guys hear about Donald Trump trying to get a space force?
Yeah, I heard about that.
It's kind of weird.
Kind of like he watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and now he's inspired.
He's like, oh man, I'm doing that.
Because when Thanos rolls around.
I don't have any opinions on that yet. The guy's obviously has some pretty polarizing things going on in his life, but Space Force sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, kind of fun. Space Force coast to coast.
Anyways, so like Dean said, we are prepping for HustleCon, and today we thought we would do something a little more practical for you guys and talk about some tips and some secrets of successful networking at live events like conferences and conventions, and even things like meetings, anywhere where you're coming in contact with new people that you want to incorporate and build relationships. So let's just jump into it, right? Okay. You know, let's get this thing going. Let's not keep people waiting.
That's for sure. So why don't we have fun with it, and let's just start with the what absolutely not to do, because there's so many people at these events. Like I've been to like hundreds of different networking events, and oh boy, there's certain people that just stick out like a sore thumb. Like it's awful, and it's not because of what they're wearing. So let's talk about dress first. Dress, it's really good to, you know, you want to dress to the event. Most of these times, if it's a professional network, you're not super worried about it. You probably want to wear something that's around, you know, if you're, well, I guess male or female, you're wearing like dress casual, so business casual always. You don't need a three-piece suit because you're going to be overdressed and people are going to automatically think you're an asshole unless you were like, unless that's your persona, which is totally cool. Most people will wear, if you're a guy, you'll be wearing slacks, a button-up, and maybe a tie if your shirt is a blank color, but no big deal, honestly.
Dang, you got it down, bro.
A lot of people will wear a suit, you know, matching pants and jacket with a pretty blank, you know, button-up shirt, top button unbuttoned. Keep it casual, keep it nice, but show that you're there, you're prepared, and you look good. And you feel good too. That's the other thing about dressing for these kind of events is the better you feel, the better you're going to act. So that's really important.
Yeah, and wear comfortable shoes. There's often a lot of walking when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I'm a shoe guy, you know, like my daughter, for instance, I buy her crazy expensive shoes for a person her age, just because like I want to guarantee that she has good foot health, because that was something I struggled with for such a long time. But another, besides, you know, comfortable shoe wear, one thing that you can do for dress specifically is, and this is something I did for the one that's coming up at HustleCon, and I went to the website and looked at last year's the photos from last year's convention.
Yeah,
and I looked at what people are wearing. You know, you kind of try to like look through all the people in the crowd and like who's looking good amongst everyone else over there. Like, I want to be that guy. I want to wear. So like one kind of theme that I saw for specifically for that convention was there was a lot of people wearing light, very light, like, you know, what are they called? The not a suit jacket, but like a casual, one of the casual ones. What are they called?
Like a blazer.
A blazer. Yeah, they're wearing like a light blazer,
a
sports coat. Yeah, and you know, some of them are wearing like nice, like they'll be even wearing nice, you know, no graphics T-shirts underneath that, like and you know, just have a comfortable but professional like business, like a little bit lower than business casual look. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet. I'll have to like talk to my stylist that I don't have, but it should be
I mean, dude,
fun.
honestly, it's all about just facilitating your persona, though. I mean, if you come to like give off a certain vibe, you need to dress to that. So that's what a lot of people, you know, if you're like trying to be like Captain Professional, super suave, like, you know, like crazy manicured and all that shit, then you better come with gel in your hair. You better come with at least a full suit, not a 3-piece. That'd be awkward. But like, you dress to what you're trying to create as far as a relationship. If you're trying to say that you're like a down home, like wholesome family man, then wear an undershirt under your shirt. Don't wear a full piece. You wear slacks and a button up. So you show,
or Dockers
by the way that you, or wear a freaking doctor's coat. For sure,
no, Dockers, dude, not doctors.
And you look at people like and you look at people like Gary Vaynerchuk, who goes to these really super professional
Dockers.
Dockers.
Yeah, Dockers are good.
But what I was saying was, like, you look at people like Gary Vaynerchuk, who goes to these super professional conventions at all these, you know, like major companies where people are always dressed to the nines, and he comes in, you know, in jeans and a t-shirt.
No,
and
he's a terrible example. He's an awful.
Was an awful example, but what my point is he's dressing to his persona. You know, he's trying to create a certain image for himself that he's carrying on across his entire brand.
Yeah,
and
if he showed up in a suit, I'd be like, I don't want to hear him talk now. You know, like, I'm like, he's not going to give it to us raw like he normally does. You know, so
yeah,
like
exactly.
Such less of a douchebag today. Well, I'm not listening to that guy.
Cool.
No, but there's I agree with what you're saying. It's like you dress to your persona. You know, I've been to a few NAMM shows, which is like, it's the National Association of Music Merchants or Musician Merchants or something. It's a music show, pretty much like a car show, but there's, you know, it's a huge convention. And immediately you can tell, like, who are the producers, who are the, you know, the engineers, who are just like the, you know, the gear nerds, like just instantly by the way they dress. The producers, you know, they're a little more flashy. They got the nice watches, maybe a couple of chains here. And the engineers, they've got like their little, you know, Kangol hats with the button up, like plaid shirts. So you could definitely tell, like, you know, so if you're looking to go talk to an engineer, you know where to find that guy just by the way he looks, you know? So I agree.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see specifically at this convention just the different types of people that we're gonna run into, because, you know, you have your, like, the founders, the people who are starting these businesses, and then you have other people who are just working for startups, and other people who are just trying to figure out how to start a side hustle and make some passive income. So it's going to be a really fun, interesting dynamic to see all the different types of people, which kind of brings me to the next topic that I want to touch on, and that is like, specifically, who are you going to try and make connections with during the event? Because you only have a small amount of time. A lot of time you're going to be sitting down, listening to the speakers. There's not a whole lot of opportunities to talk with people during that time. So you have a very limited amount of time where you're going to actually be able to try and make these relationships that are going to be beneficial to whatever it is that you're trying to do. So do you guys have anything specifically that, in terms of, let's say, goal setting, when it comes to going to a convention? Why are we going there? You know, anything that you guys have to say about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, you can either have specific goals. So I have it I always like separate it in two ways. So it's networking with a purpose or networking to learn, and they're kind of gripped. But networking with a purpose would be like going to this type of event to get an investor, for instance.
Right.
If you're doing that, then you're literally talking to people. You are when you walk up to them. This is something else that people do wrong all the time. Is they go, "Hey, what's your name? What do you do?" The worst thing you could possibly say to someone is, "What's your name? What do you do?" Because they're like, "Oh, well, I'm Dean, and I'm less of an asshole than you are because you're annoying, and I hope that we never talk again." So like, but if you are networking with a purpose, so for something like an investor, then what you want to do is you want to always give some of yourself before you ask for someone to give some of themselves. But you also want to, it's all about timing. So if you're talking to someone, you realize the conversation is full of shit. If you realize they're all about themselves and they really aren't sharing anything, they're going into like these weird, you're going to get this a lot. Like you're going into these weird conversations about like God or about politics or about like
Oh
their
gosh.
basis is love and care and or they start talking about the difference between Jesus and Moses or who the fuck knows. But like there's so many things that you're going to, and I've been through all these conversations before, and it's like the strongest thing you can do in networking, especially when you're networking for a purpose, for a specific purpose, but really if you're networking at all, is to cut off conversations. That is the strongest thing you can learn to do, is to know how to gracefully stop a conversation that you realize isn't going anywhere. Because what happens is you end up buying drinks for some asshole that's talking about Jesus and Moses, and you really have no interest in them, but you just wasted a bunch of time. What you don't want to do is cut off a conversation that you don't know where it's going, because unless you're going to a convention and saying, "Hey, I'm going to this convention because I want to find 3 investors," um, and most people aren't that specific in their intention when they go to this kind of convention. Most of it is about building a relationship with a bunch of people, and the reality is that most of within networks, generally speaking, and this is a bunch, in a bunch of different articles, a bunch of different writings and everything, you don't end up leveraging your first connection network. You end up leveraging the second and third connection. So the people that your people know and the people that those people know. So that's just a reality. So what you're trying to do at a networking convention, unless you're specifically saying, "I want to investors," what you are doing is trying to show how cool you are, how much fun you are, how much you know, and how much value you can add to a situation, and then teaching that person that and making sure that they can convey that to other people. And so that's the biggest piece of networking. So it's either networking with a specific goal, like I want investors, or it's networking to build your network.
Right.
Um, you know what I'm saying? So that's really how I go about it as far as goal setting in a network perspective.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on it like sort a little bit about you have to bring something to the table. You have to convince these people that you are worth their time and you have some value to bring. Which brings me. I was talking about this before we started recording. I've been doing some research on growing your friendship group and growing your social groups, and I came across this pretty interesting list of becoming irreplaceable when it comes to your cooperative alliances, is what they call it, and your friendships. And the first would be promote a reputation that highlights one's unique and exceptional attributes. So that is playing to your strengths, right? And showing people that you have something to offer. And then another is be motivated to recognize personal attributes that others value, but they have difficulty getting from other people. So you might have to alter your the way that you talk to someone based on what you think that they're actually looking for, based off of the stuff that they're talking to you about. Like, what are they saying at that moment that is going to allow you to jump in and give them some value? And that's something that we always try to do on this podcast too, is listen to what our audience has to say, so we can kind of we'll say pivot a little bit to a different way of approaching some of our audience to give them what they want.
Mhm.
And there's 6 of these, by the way.
So let's talk about that though real quick before we go any further. So to be able to pivot, you have to be able to listen. And
Yes.
that is the most difficult thing that most people pass up at a networking event, is listening. You're always, what you're doing is you're hearing or you're waiting. Really, conversations are mostly waiting for your turn to speak. and it's the worst thing you can possibly do. So if there's one piece of advice that I can give you from having a lot of successful networking events, it's listen, because everything that Chris that you're about to say, as far whether it's being able to respond in kind, or whether it's being able to pivot the conversation, um, whatever it is, like that all starts with you actually listening to the response to the questions that you ask, which is something that's hugely undervalued, and it's not done enough right now.
Yes, and you may be shitty at it in the beginning, but the great thing about these kind of things is we get a lot of chances at these conventions. There's so many people, so many opportunities for you to practice what does he do. Which the reason I'm saying that is because the third one on this list is to cultivate specialized skills that increase your irreplaceability. So one of those might be listening, right? I wanted to start doing this podcast because I wanted to actually help my listening skills, because it's something that I wasn't able to practice a lot in early in my career after college, because I was a very isolating job in the beginning. Now it's not as bad as it used to be. It's not great in my 9 to 5 job, but I'm doing things like this and talking to you guys and talking to our amazing guests, trying to increase my listening skills. So there's obviously tons of different ways how you can look at cultivating your specialized skills. Dean, you're an incredible communicator when it comes to this kind of stuff. So developing this further and just like becoming more and more of an expert is like, it's another way to look at it. And, we all have the things that we're good at. So, and we also recognize the things that we're not. So we have the opportunity to go back to the drawing board and practice the skills that we're not the best at. So further on this list, it says, this is a bit of a long one, preferentially seeking out people or groups that value what you have to offer and what others in the group tend to lack. Groups in which one's assets will be most appreciated. So I guess a way that you could take that little tip is choose where you're spending your time. Again, like Dean, you were saying before, making sure that you're able to exit the conversations that aren't exactly worth it, but also looking at it on a larger scale and saying, is this convention really going to yield the kind of the results? Because these things are expensive. Luckily we were invited to this event by our lovely guest, Grace Lancaster from The Hustle. So we don't have to worry about that too much for this one, but these things often cost thousands of dollars to attend. And if you don't think you're going to get the kind of results because the correct people aren't there for you to actually network with, and you don't have any value to give them and they don't have any value to give you, you could be wasting a lot of time and money. So I think that's a really important one.
Yeah, and I was kind of going to mention that. I was going to say, before getting into these things, it's really important to self-assess, and really kind of be aware of exactly what it is that you're looking to get out of anything like this, whether it's a convention, whether it's I was saying earlier, whether it's a showcase of, talent or whatever the case may be. It's really important for people to self-assess and really understand what their unique value proposition is, and really knowing what you can bring to the table, so that you're not sitting there like, oh, well, let's see if this person will be interested in anything I have to say. So you can, it's just, it kind of helps your confidence, just kind of being more self-aware of what it is that you're trying to get out of it,
Absolutely.
What's that saying though? When preparation meets what? It makes what?
Opportunity equals success. When preparation meets opportunity, it equals success.
Absolutely. So with conventions, with networking, with things like that, your preparation needs not only be to be self-aware, but to also know that HustleCon, for instance, isn't a sprinting event where people are talking about how quick they can run and they just call it hustling. So like,
Right.
like know the audience, know what you're trying to get out of it, definitely, and know and do some research, prepare for the people that are going to be there, so that you can fine tune your skills and make sure that you are highly applicable to them.
Right.
Yeah, and I was just doing that exact thing, really. Like, I don't know what kind of opportunities are going to present themselves at this event that we're going to, but I did take some time and really kind of look into the list of speakers who are going to be there, because you never know. We might bump into these guys. They might be future podcast guests that, you know, we're able to communicate with and talk to. I reached out to a couple of them through direct Instagram. So looking at the people, you never know. Like, it's just a step of preparation, you know. Are you guys? Have you guys had a chance to look into the speaker list? By the way,
Yeah, I've taken a look at it. It seems like some pretty heavy hitters. You know,
yeah,
especially for
it's such a cool event. Like, they
Yeah.
have such a broad grouping of people. Like, you know, you got the guy that from Movement, the watch company.
the watch company.
I think his name is like Jake Kazan or something like that.
Hassan.
The guy that started Twitch, who apparently has a crazy amount of other businesses that he started as well.
Mhm.
But just a super cool speaker list that they have going on there, and I'm so pumped to just first of all learn, and then like maybe like network with some of these people too. But you know, while Dean is going to do his thing, let's look at number 5 here on this list, because I want to get through these, and I'm gonna post these in the show notes so you can check them out, because I think it's a very important. It seems obvious when I say these out loud, but when you actually look at them and you try and implement them, they can make such huge differences in the things that you're doing. That's how you're spending your time when it comes to networking with people and creating these alliances. So the next one is avoid social groups in which one's unique attributes are not valued, or in which one's unique attributes are easily provided by others. So this is a very interesting one to me, especially the second half where it says where your unique attributes are easily provided by others, right? So are you putting in a position where you're going to be competing with tons of other people? Like, for instance, for us, is there going to be a ton of podcasters there? There's probably going to be a good amount, because podcasting is such an attainable thing that people can do now.
Mhm.
But that's another thing that you can think about. Like, again, that goes down to what kind of value proposition are you bringing, so you can have the best, so the relationships that you're building are going to be the best they can possibly be, because you know it has to be balanced. You have to be giving, and you have to in order to receive, you have to give just as much, if not more. So yeah, like Dean, I don't know if you heard that last one, but I was talking about the fifth little tip here, and it was to avoid social groups in which one's unique attributes are not valued, or in which one's unique attributes are easily provided by others. So I thought that was super interesting, because, you know, are we putting ourselves in a position to not be able to provide value because it's such a what we have to provide is potentially could be saturated. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but is our value there, right? So are we putting ourselves in an environment where we're not going to be competing with a bunch of other people, which we are, but at the same time, you know, it's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, it's go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And it's just real quick. I think that we're fortunate, you know, for this specific event, you know, just going back to that question, that we're going to HustleCon. So it's not like, you know, we're going there for, like, there's going to be a wide variety of people who can provide, you know, different types of things. So I don't think we'll be, you know, outnumbered in the area. I don't think that'll be, you know, lopsided for podcasters or for, you know, salesmen or for whatever. Like, it's just going to be a bunch of like-minded people who are, you know, doing different things, but we're all rooted in the hustle, you know, and I think that that's kind of to our advantage. But for a different convention, yeah, I could see where you would, you know, where it would be a little more difficult, you know, where you can walk into a crowd where you're really not needed, you know, because I think for HustleCon, we're all trying to put it together. So I think there's always an opportunity for someone to add value. So if you're walking into a group of people who are filmmakers, for myself, I'm a music producer. I could do scores. I can do things like that. So you never know when that opportunity, they're like, man, we just need to put this score together, or, you know, we need to put a nice little soundtrack together, blah, blah, blah. Hey, look, I can, you know, I can provide this, or, you know, because everybody's on the hustle, you know, and it's not like there's going to be a crap ton of music produced. I'm sure there will be a lot, but, you know, there won't be every producer in one group where I have to go into that group and say, hey, I'm a producer too. Like, can we figure something out? You know, like I think it's a good opportunity for us to be able to spread out, you know, what our skills are and be able to provide it to a lot of people. So I think we're fortunate in the fact that it's HustleCon, but for another convention, who knows? It's a different story.
Yeah, and I think that's really service-based too. Like, you know, when you're talking about that, you don't want to, it would be terrible to go to a convention that is like just accountants or something, or like what, you know what I'm saying? Or you don't want to just be, maybe it's a bad example, but let's say it's a real estate convention and you are a real estate agent or something like that, or like, you know, it's a timeshare convention and you're a real estate agent. Like, you really need to know how to differentiate yourself against your direct competition. Where I think that what we're doing, I mean, we're fortunate in that we don't really need to accomplish anything. like specifically what we're doing, we are actually just we're going there and seeing what relationships we can build, and that's kind of our goal. Some of us have, like, you know, a mix of different goals as far as what we want to accomplish from a networking perspective, but like, this is not dire to us. But if it is dire to you, then you definitely need to make sure that when you go there, and especially if you're service oriented, like, you need to be able to differentiate yourself from the competition. But like, honestly, if you don't know that and you're paying for these kind of conventions,
you're wasting your money.
You need to draw up your business plan again. If you don't know what if you're in a saturated market and you don't know what differentiates you, like, you're in the wrong business, brother. Like, you have to know at all times. And the other thing too is, in order to like properly portray how you differentiate yourself, you need to have an elevator pitch for these networking events. You have to have a 30-second bio that's exciting, that's fun, that separates you, and that makes people want to talk to you more. And I don't think we really talked about that, but that's like one of the biggest things about these type of networking events is, like, when you get to being able to describe what it is you do, how you do it, and why you should be able to do it for other people, and why it's valuable. Man, you gotta have that locked in, like, really well.
Absolutely, man. That's
that's huge.
That's something that I think about for myself when it comes to a lot of the things I do is what, like I think there's a little bit of imposter syndrome that I suffer from when it comes to the things that I have to offer people. And we've touched on that quite a bit on our podcast. Really, it was my inability to kind of see the good stuff.
Except that
I think that's an important aspect of, like, creating your elevator pitch is absolutely knowing what you have to offer. And that's this is a masterclass on networking. That's definitely not part of my main skill set is having that sort of confidence to tell someone, hi, like, I know this thing for sure, and here's, like, my 30-second pitch on it. But
hold on. I just see an opportunity for an activity here. All right. So
what is the activity?
Let's build out your elevator pitch, even though it's
no
floor pitch, because if you're at a networking event, it's a floor pitch, but let's build it out.
Listeners, get ready for about 30 seconds of dead air.
Chris plays elevator music. He's just like, that's it.
All right, so just stop it. All right, you're obviously nervous. It's okay. Let's keep rolling.
All right, so let's rock and roll.
Yeah, let's do it. So
you just stepped in the elevator with Gary Vaynerchuk. Dean's gonna be Gary Vaynerchuk.
Well, this is a little tough because we're in a
mess right now.
I think what the difficult part about this exercise, like you were saying, like, we're not really here to sell anyone anything other than the fact that, like, maybe we'd like them to give him some airtime and
all right. Well, here, look,
and some publicity.
So this is a good idea. This is a good thing, though. So, like, what are you trying to accomplish? When we accepted the invitation and we bought the plane tickets and we scheduled the time, like, what is it in your head? You're like, okay, cool. This would be really awesome because blank. What's the blank?
Well, what's really cool about being able to go to one of these conferences is just the conference in and of itself. You don't get a lot of opportunities to go and sit and listen to these incredible people speak, and at the same time be sitting next to people who are probably just as incredible as the people standing on that stage. So being able to walk around, talk to these human beings, and try and develop these relationships so we can potentially give each other some value. So, you know, like maybe like we could have them on the show. Maybe, you know, we can just have a beer or a coffee, you know, who knows, just developing relationships, because like we're like right now, like we're in the relationship building stage. We're not here to give any, we're not here to take anything from anyone. We're only here to give, you know?
Yep. So, okay. So tell me if I'm close with this one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be you and you be me. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Wait, who am I? I'm you. You're me. Okay. Hey, Dean. How you doing? I'm Chris.
What's up, Chris? What's up? How's HustleCon for you?
Oh man, it's so incredible, man. I got to tell you, like, it's crazy because I came here because I was looking forward to hearing, you know, blank, blank, and blank speak. But what I'm realizing is that every person I meet has, you know, equally as much knowledge and value and everything. And it's just been such an eye-opening experience. You know, I came here honestly, to learn from the best, but what I'm seeing is that I'm meeting the best. And I guess what I'm interested in right now is finding out how I work together with them to, you know, to see what kind of mutually beneficial relationships we can create. So it's really been a blessing.
Whatever, nerd.
Yeah.
No, that honestly, that's like that. Those kind of exercises are something that like I feel like I should do more and more often, because I'm honestly terrible. We were talking about this.
All right, perfect. Let's do it right now then. Perfect. Good job.
What?
I'm glad that you acknowledge
Again?
that. Okay. Yeah, this time you can. No, I need
this time you're you.
I know that. But that was good, right?
The reason I did that is because like people will say like, okay, what's your elevator pitch? And they go, okay, my name is Dean Scott. I work at blank. I specialize in blank, 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 and I'm here. So the reason that I wanted to do that exercise originally is because like you got to break down.
Sure. Okay, cool.
Barriers and realize that. So it's time for you to do that.
All right, cool.
Let's get it.
Am I like coming up to you or vice versa?
Oh yeah, just walk up to me and shake my hand, brother.
Okay, I'm shimmying over. I'm like working. I spot you across the convention floor.
I'm skating it from Memphis, Tennessee, goes walking.
Hey, what's up there, young fella? Okay. Hey. Then how's it going? How's the convention? No, is that it? Did I lose?
Sound like you're speed dating, bro.
Here, check this out. Look, start with this. Like, you walk up to the person.
Okay.
You look
What's
down,
my
and
opener?
and you say,
give me an opener.
I'm telling you right now. You walk up to the person. You look down. You see their name tag, and you go, "Okay, Dean Scott. Hey, how's it going? I'm Chris Lewis. It's nice to meet you." So try that.
Hey, Dean Scott. What's going on? Nice to meet you.
Beautiful. Nice to meet you, Chris Lewis. How you doing, man? How you liking the convention?
I'm liking a lot. Are you here? Are you here to? Are you participating in the convention? Are you here to like? Are you? Well, no, that wouldn't work because obviously.
Just keep going. Come on.
Cool.
Just have a
so are you part of a startup? Like what brings you to HustleCon?
Yeah, no, I'm actually part of a podcast. It's really fun, and you know we're just trying to learn as much as we can. How about you?
Yeah, also a podcaster. Wait, hold on. Are we both podcasters in this scenario?
Dude, this is real scenario. Keep going.
Cool. Wow, that's crazy.
Just work through it.
That's crazy. What a coincidence. I'm also a podcaster. Are you here to look for potential guests for your show? What brings you to this actual convention?
Yeah, no, honestly, we're just looking for like new endorsements. You know, as you know, I mean, you know, is that your experience? Like, it's hard to get like marketing dollars and stuff.
You know, it's interesting. You know, most of what we do is affiliate marketing, which I'm sure you're familiar with. But you know, it's sponsorships and endorsements. You know, those are some things that we've been looking into a lot. What's been your experience so far in terms of getting endorsements for your podcast?
Yeah, we haven't really done any yet. That's why we're here.
Oh wow, okay. Well, it's interesting. Well, I'd love to, have like a hug. All right, exercise over. I get the point. I'm
So you ready?
I'm not as awkward.
Feedback,
I honestly not
I
as
know.
awkward in real life.
I know. So look, establish credibility. Definitely. So I did a bunch of stuff on purpose because I wanted to talk with you. But like the first thing is obviously you need to name drop.
Mhm.
And you need to name drop your own podcast for starters. Like,
Okay.
if you were ever to go to, like imagine if you were to say, oh, like, what do you do? He's like, oh, I work for a company. Oh, cool. Okay, great. It's so awesome that I know that about you now. I can really connect. Like, so like I actually run a podcast. It's called 5 O'Clock Hustle. It's about giving entrepreneurs not only the learning, but the tools that enable them to take their passion project to the next level. Okay,
Sure.
cool. That's awesome. So that's the first thing is be informational, like actually inform people about what you do, what your vision is. So that's part of again, like your elevator pitch should be what you do and why you do it real quickly.
Yeah.
And then it talks more about why you're here. So this person was talking about like, they got there and they're looking for investors and yet they've never actually had an investor before. So I guess a logical question would be, why are you looking, as opposed to what's been your experience? Like why,
Mhm.
like, why do you think it's important to look for like investors? Like, why is that, for us? And I'll just, when I think about investors, I actually think it's like a huge responsibility, and we've had a really tough time um, just maintaining releasing episodes. So we talk about investors, and that at some point, I guess, is the next level. But like, man, it's so rough just to be able to put out episodes. So it's like giving yourself. So it's all about. I feel like it's all about building that relationship by knowing what you're doing, why you're doing it, establish credibility, and then give some of yourself that allows them to open up to you and give some of themselves in return. And then you see if there's a partnership worth exploring.
Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of the 5 whys, right? You're familiar, like, well, a lot of people are familiar with the concept, the 5 whys. And I've heard of this concept, which was used by, I think it was developed by the CEO of Toyota, to figure out problems immediately when it comes to like their production line. Like they'd stop and say, okay, why is this happening, and then they would try and break it down into 5 different layers. And to do that have that same concept for a conversation with someone kind of puts you in a more intriguing position conversationally, because you're not just talking about yourself, you're showing deep interest in what someone's doing. So like you start with someone like, why are you here? It's like, oh, okay, I'm a podcaster. It's like, oh, why do you podcast? And then you kind of break it down layer, and the deeper you get, the more meaningful that conversation can become. So
Yeah.
I'm just not that good at it.
No, I think you are that good at it, and you've actually gotten a lot better over time. But like anytime you can make someone think about something that they haven't recently thought about,
Mhm.
you will be perceived to add value to that conversation.
Yeah, when people, especially our guests, come on and they're like, "Wow, that's a really good question. I have never really thought of that."
They
And
kind
then
of pause.
I'm like, "Oh, all right, cool. We're going into uncharted territory here. This is fun." Yeah, those are all really good things. And is there what else? Like, do you guys have any more bag of tricks for our listeners when it comes to developing new relationships, meeting new people, and leveraging your all your skills to develop these relationships?
The only thing that I was going to add, but we touched on it earlier, was just being prepared. Because you never know at these type of conventions who you're going to run into. Like you may run into a keynote speaker, so you have questions prepared for certain people. They may have opportunities to do a Q&A, so have questions prepared. Things that you may want to know, things that you're interested in. And just be open. I think one of the main things that I'm looking forward to is really having no expectation of the convention and just really being open to exploring, what it brings. Who knows what type of people we'll meet. I have an expectation of what I think it's going to be, but I really want to be open to having that change and having that change my mind in the middle of the convention and being like, okay, well now, and that's the nice thing about going with you guys, is that I'll be able to bounce those things off of you. And because you guys obviously have more experience in these things than I do, and be able to say, okay, well, look, so this dude was talking about that, or, we're about to go into this room with these people. Like, one of the things that I got brought up was X, Y, and Z. How do you think I should approach that? And be able to talk to you guys about it. I think that'll be a nice, I think it'll be really fun. That was one of the main reasons that I thought that going to this together would be, great, is because I thought it would be a great team building, but at the same time, it would be great individual building, because we are all hustlers, and if we can learn together, it kind of gives us more of a reason to hold each other accountable for the things that we are saying that we're going to do. So we can say, hey, remember at the convention, so and so said that, you can apply that to your book, or you can apply this to your music business, like whatever the case may be. And I think that just going in it open to learning what this can do for us, and then also being open to providing value to other people, whether that's getting them on the show or, whatever it may be, so just go into it with an open mind. Don't be so hell bent on getting what you want out of it, because, the convention's you're going to get out of it what the convention gives you. You're not going to extract every little thing that you want. You're going to extract some things that are different. You're going to extract some things that, maybe you may get 95% of what you want, but that other 5, it's just going based on the experience and just being open to it. So that's what I'm excited about.
Very healthy way to look at it.
Yeah.
And I think that'll kind of
say,
take some of the edge off of, like the thing that you guys are just doing now, the conversation. If you go into it without an expectation, I feel like you're more susceptible to have a more natural conversation with a person, human to human interaction, as opposed to, hey, let me add you value and see if you can add me value. And it's not that stress. It's not that, tension, like, okay, I need to really perform now. It just kind of makes it a little more easy, in my opinion. That's what I think. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
What about you, Dean?
If you've ever tried to like deliver a speech, have you guys ever tried to deliver a speech before, like a written speech?
Yeah, I was on a speech team.
So just think about that. That's amazing.
CSI
Think about trying to deliver it without having it memorized versus delivering it when you have it memorized.
Yeah.
So like the difference is gargantuan in the fact that one comes off as you reciting a script, and the other comes off as you being genuine and it's just being part of what you are and what you know. So like one of the biggest things at these events, at these conventions, at these workshops, or whatever it is to just like be knowledgeable, like know about the industry that you're visiting, know about things that people will be talking about, like just know about the keynotes, like Dre said, like, have some stuff to talk about with people. And instead of having to, like what you said, we don't have any expectations. And so it makes it easier for us to have conversations. It's the same thing. If we had expectations, we'd be trying to train ourselves to have some sort of script that helps us to facilitate these expectations.
Right.
But the reason that conversation is easier when you don't have expectations is because you're relying on just whatever you feel at that moment. It's the same way if you were to have expectations, but you were so trained in how to convey those expectations that they came off as natural. It's all about being natural and being genuine and being able to, to describe what it is your why you're there and what you want out of it. But thing I thought was really important that we haven't touched on is take fucking notes. And you need to find a way to take notes. There's so many conventions that I'll go to that I get a little overwhelmed. I get too deep into conversation. I have 25-minute meetings with a 5-minute break, and you just go boom, 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 boom. And all of a sudden you go back and look at your notes and you're like, okay, I remember this person's face. I remember their company. I have their business card, but man, I can't. There's this one thing that stuck out to me and I did not have time to write it down. Like, take time after every meeting to sit down, to digest, to go over that meeting in your head and what was important to you, what was important to them, and take specific notes. You will absolutely kill yourself. You will not get any value out of that conversation unless you can recall what actually happened, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, you can have the best conversation in the world, but if you can't find some way to recall what was actually the best about it, what was important about it, then it's meaningless. So like taking notes, especially at these conventions, is really important. Figure out a way to like where you're going to put business cards if like something's higher priority versus low priority, because the biggest part about these conventions is following up after too. So like maybe you have a front zipper pocket and a mid zipper pocket. Maybe you establish with yourself that the front zipper pocket is people that you want to follow up within 1 week, and the mid zipper pocket is people that you can follow up within a month. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's those kind of small things that are going to get you to where you need to be, because it is all about consistency and follow up. And you need to make sure that you have, just think this shit through. Like, just think it through. You know, like what's your goal from being there? And then after you leave, how are you going to do it? Yeah. What's up? I think you have a question.
Yeah. You said zipper pockets. Is that a part of the dress code?
Oh, okay. So what I'm talking about.
I know. I'm joking. Sorry, I just had to get it off. I'm sorry.
Oh, nugget pocket. in your laptop bag, because you better have a damn laptop with you. I'm just saying, have a computer bag. Have some.
That's right. I got one. I got one ready to roll. I got my business cards in there. I'm gonna have, I don't know, like what that's an interesting thing. What should we have in our messenger bag?
Yeah, usually I mean, honestly, I'll bring a backup shirt with me if I go to these kind of things.
Yeah.
A lot of the time I'll bring like a really thin backup shirt just in case I spill something stupid and it's like impossible to get out.
That's smart.
Because a lot, like during the summer,
if you spill something,
colors.
And if you spill something and you don't have a backup shirt, you just have to dump it all over the shirt so it matches. You don't want to have spots.
Then it's the easiest icebreaker around. Then you're just like, oh my God, the last person I went up and talked to spilled their coffee all over me. So please don't do that.
So it's like a coffee bath, just so everything would match. Yeah, for me, this entire convention is really about trying to build just like, if I can get one good relationship out of this convention, if we can get like, I'd love to say like I want the next 3 years of interviews booked by the time we leave the convention. That's something. But like honestly, if I can just have one solid conversation, build one strong relationship, then that is like, that's just far beyond anything that I could even ask for, given the opportunity that we've been given by the hustle.
Yeah,
but
I think too that one of the other ways that I'm going and looking at it is the value that we get from this is going to be the value that we give to our listeners. So I feel like we're kind of like the reporters being sent to the convention to kind of report back to our listeners and provide them value. So like you said, whether that comes in the form of one interview that just provides immense value and then it just sharpens our tools a little bit better so that we're putting out better content, then I think that that's a win, But if it comes back that we get 10 guests and, and that's still adding more value, then that's a win too. I just think that one of the main things that I want to go into it is get more for our guests, because we are building this thing, and the more quality content that we can give them, whether it's just being empowered ourselves or bringing other people on to empower us, then I think it's a win either way. So
yeah. And I'll say real quick that I think that, and I guess I'm a little different in these, but like I've been to so many of these events. Like in this case, it's unique for me, but what I want to do is be able to like perfectly portray the value HustleCon provides to its attendees, because like I feel like as someone that as like an invited guest, we're on the outside looking in, and I want to be able to help them. I want to be able to help any of the businesses that like will bring us to these kind of events as honored guests. Honestly, I feel honored in the fact that we were just invited like this. So what I want to do is bring value back to them and bring value back to the company and make it real clear why we're there.
Yeah, that fits in really well with that list that I was breaking down earlier, with especially the second one, be motivated to recognize personal attributes that others value. And that's really kind of what you were saying, like figuring out what the people at that convention really are looking for, and providing that value to them, since we're, like you said, on the outside looking in. But you know, this was supposed to be like a shorter episode, but we're kind of cranking out a full one for
Whatever.
It's chill.
I'm good.
Anyways, this was a fun, you know, our first fun little more practical kind of podcast that where we've been putting out, where we've been blasting this thing on YouTube Live. When we do these, I think that'll be good practice to have these on YouTube Live so people can see us and we can kind of work it through that way. And it's a fun another way to kind of interact with the show. And for listeners, let us know what you guys think. If you did see the YouTube version, write in the comments. Tell us what you think about the episode. Tell us what you think about some of the tips and the discussion that we had tonight. And let us know. And remember, always, please, I want you to go to iTunes right now and subscribe to the podcast, because otherwise, you know, we're not going to know. Your subscriptions is just the most important thing in the world to us.
Yeah, I mean, like if you enjoyed this podcast, this episode, then just why not have the next one just pop up?
Yeah,
exactly. What? Don't make it hard for yourself.
Super complicated. Yeah.
It's just one button. Yeah.
Will this be available for them to watch afterwards? Is it just live and then that's it?
No, it's live right now. Once I hit stop the broadcast, it's going to automatically upload to YouTube, so everybody's going to be able to see this raw, unedited episode of the podcast. Sweet. with our beautiful faces.
Yeah, man.
And I'm also going to take the audio and put it on iTunes so people can listen to it there on their car ride. That's the great thing about podcasts. Like YouTube is great. If we were to maybe do a different format, I would love to do YouTube, but I think it's so important to be able to give people value on their commutes because that is just time people don't get back, and be able to learn and grow while you're driving.
I listen to most podcasts,
just killing it. This is the best thing in the world. Podcasts, such a gift to whoever. Steve Jobs, who was it? I don't know.
No, we invented podcasts, remember, dude?
Oh yeah, with my time machine.
No, we invented podcasts, dude, with Afternoon Shiner or whatever.
Oh yeah, shit, yeah, we totally invented podcasts.
You're welcome, guys.
Anyways, before we sign out, guys, do you have anything else to say, or are we good?
If you listen to this and you see us at HustleCon, holler at us.
Yes, please do. Yeah, I
want to just thank Hustle Co. and Grace Lancaster. Like, she's an awesome guest, and now she's an awesome host, and she works really hard to put these events together. And it's an honor to be invited to one of them, and I can't wait to experience it. We're gonna have so much learning and so much growth out of it. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, The Hustle is an amazing company, and I hope you guys go to their website at thehustle.co and sign up for their newsletter, because one, it's hilarious. They take
It's so good though.
It's all the stuff that is happening in the world today, but they're putting such an edgy spin to it, and you really get a good understanding of what's going on in the world, but at the same time just being completely entertained. It's an amazing newsletter. You guys go and check it out, and also check out these events they're putting on. They did 2X. We talked about Grace about the 2X conference, which is the women's speaker series. And you know, we didn't get the opportunity to go to that one. I'm bummed we missed out, but we're gonna have to hit it next year. And I am so pumped for HustleCon. And it is this Friday. If you guys listen to this on Wednesday when we put it up as the podcast, it'll be 2 days from then. So you still have a chance to get some tickets, and you maybe, you know, we can hang out, and we'll go by the food. They have all these food trucks that are going to be out outside of the Paramount Theater in Oakland, California. But anyways, I just hope you guys check out The Hustle, because they have been so generous to us, and they are just an amazing company. And I want you guys to check them out right now.
Are we going to do a live episode from HustleCon?
I think we should do a couple live episodes, like maybe in flight, an in-flight episode, since we're flying over to Oakland. We might as well use that time to.
Dude, but we can
piss off the people around us.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna be the annoying people. Like, shut up, dude! Trying to get an hour of sleep.
It's 6 a.m. flight.
Minutes, yeah.
Anyways, we're gonna have some content. If you follow us on our social media, especially our Instagram, we'll probably have some stories up so you can see what's going on in the event while it's happening. So yeah, we're gonna have some incredible content for you guys on all the mediums, and I'm really excited for it. I hope you guys are excited for it too. You know, what else can I say? Right? Am I right?
That's it.
You're right.
Your hat's
Cool.
sick, dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your hat is sick.
All right. Keep hustling, everybody. And again, subscribe, rate, and review the show. See you next time. Peace out. All right, cool. Bye, YouTube world.